right, hey, good afternoon here at ClarksPlace. We are going to break down my Iwata Eclipse HPCS airbrush gun. I've just gotten done doing a little airbrushing on one of the models here and wanted to kind of go through all the steps that I take. I basically do a pretty thorough clean, so if you've never watched and you want to see how long it takes to clean an airbrush, it's probably going to be, I don't know, 10-15 minutes here, but get in every little piece, get everything squared away. So like I've said in other videos, every time you go to use the gun, it's like brand new. So we'll get started here. I've got the gun here. It is still hooked up. I just got done spraying white, and I will disconnect that. And we will, I usually like to pour just a little thinner in the cap. So this is basically some thinner there. And I always clean it with lacquer thinner. So let's move my parts out of the way here before something happens bad that I don't like. Like thinner all over the car. That would be just wonderful. So we'll wipe that little brush off. And then usually this back piece, I just kind of wipe down, but this gun comes apart. You take the very tip off of it here. I dunk it down in there. And your needle is exposed there, so be careful. And then I take the next piece off. And I always put these back together just finger tight. I take this off, and that one usually gets pretty tight and doesn't usually like to come off, but it came off fine this time. That one has a little, it's made to where you can throw a bolt on it or a wrench and tighten her down. So pull that off, and it's got actually I don't know what it's called, but it's another little piece. That's basically where this needle goes in and nestles. And then when you pull this back, it pulls that needle back out of that little tiny tip in there and lets the air and paint mixture flow. And I always take this and I loosen the back cap, and I always shove the needle forward. You can see all that paint that's on there. I don't like to pull that through the gun backwards. I don't know who taught me that or if that's just common knowledge, but hey, this might be the very first airbrush cleaning video you've ever seen. So I really like the airbrush. It's like having any liquid that you got there that you want to spray, like spray paint. Just throw some paint. You can see I've got tons of these. They're pretty expensive to get. I think I spent like 300 bucks for, I don't know, 70 or 80 different. I don't know if these are 2 ounce or what they are. Yeah, 2 fluid ounce of pearl black. But they've been great for doing the modeling stuff that we do. And basically everything that I take out of here, I throw into the lacquer thinner there. Just the very end of this has a spring mechanism in that you can take this apart further, but I've never seen any paint in there. If my spring was acting up and it didn't have the action that I'd like, I might dig in there and see what's going on, but every time I've taken this apart, it's been absolutely fine because I don't drag the needle back through that, causing all the paint to get stuck in there. Let's see if you can see that. Yeah. So basically, the needle goes through this, and you could pull, and it would just basically ream that and just fill that with the paint. So that's why I don't do that. Got some Q-tips. These are little specialty airbrush Q-tips, and then I also have some larger regular size Q-tips. So I stick this in there, and it kind of goes right through. Has a little place that it has to get past there. You can see it's got green in it from, I don't know what. I don't know who used it last. Oh, you know what? I painted a green truck, so that's still in there from last time. I guess maybe Pops used it and didn't clean it all the way. I don't know. And I usually stick this in there and clean out that front. And then I will take just a paper towel, something, and then get the majority of that paint out of there. So you can see just a little bit of paint down in the bottom there. I don't know if that comes out on camera or not. Maybe you can see down in there. Just a little bit of white left in the bottom. So get that out of there. Start to work on that, which we can get a little bit of thinner. And this just comes right off. I didn't set out to make paint cleaning videos, but I've seen people get very upset at their tools and stuff like that when they go to use them the next time. And I mean, when you spend $200-300 on an airbrush, or even like the one I want, it's $600. Yeah, take care of it. Take care of it, and next time you pull it out of the box, it'll be great. So do that, and then I will take and dribble a little thinner all over your workspace. That's exactly what I intended to do. And I grab another Q-tip, and while that's got some liquid down in it, I just take and make sure all that's cleaned out. Make sure that's really good. And then that cavity basically comes out the front, and the needle comes all the way through. So a lot of times your thinner will back up into here. So I just shove it in there, kind of give that the once over as well. You can see the Q-tip is dirty. It's continuing to clean for you there. So, last step for cleaning the base here, put a little thinner on the brush, on the Q-tip, and just run it through. And then on the inside there, well, on the inside, you can see that comes through, and I just try to push it through and clean out the tip there where the actual needle comes through. And then I've got this little Harbor Freight guy. You saw me using it in the other video out there. Got one in here in my little airbrush kit, and I shove this through. And I shove it, get a little more thinner on it. And this will actually go through and go all the way in. You can see that goes all the way in, out the back. And I usually try to clean it off as I push it through, get it wet again, and I pull it back through, just so that where that airbrush needle goes through there is perfectly back to factory specs, suffocations. All right, so base is clean, that's clean. Take the needle, get a little thinner on the rag, and I just run it through just a few times. You can see that's one pass, it still has a little bit of white on it. Run it through again. So I make a few passes with it until that's Jim Dandy. You can see it's back to where it doesn't look like there's anything on it. And we come to this. This is your actual actuator. It's got a little bit of a recessed area that it comes back. When you pull it back, it has a little cradle to nestle on the gun, so you can see how to put it back together. And then I take this guy here and just make sure all those little air jets are clean. This one I use the regular Q-tip because you can get through there and it pretty much cleans out all those little jets. There's 3 little tiny little holes in there. And I can see it looks like it's absolutely clean. And then same with these tips. I clean these with the normal Q-tip. You can see there was a lot of white that squished out there. And then this kind of almost threads in to that hole with a regular Q-tip. You can see it coming out the front there. And I make sure to get all my threads clean. And I like that. Then I'm saving the worst for last. So same thing with this. This is threaded, so I just kind of try to screw it in there and clean out all those threads. And then this, I just make sure there's no clogs through that hole. You can kind of look through it and you can see, I don't know if you'll make it out, but you can kind of see that you do have a nice clean escape for the paint to go through. And then this is the last guy. This is very, very tiny, and I usually use the end of the needle once I've gone through and tried to clean it out. So I will push this through. A lot of times you can make out white paint is the last that I just used. A lot of times it will come out the very end. And I twist this guy. I don't know if you can hear that. It's almost like it's ripping that paint out of the inside that has dried in there. I didn't really see a whole lot come out there. Maybe because it's white, but you can see, I can see pearl junk down in it. So I will throw that guy away, throw that Q-tip away. Both these guys gotta go bye-bye. And then we grab a new one. And then right now I cannot, oh, I can barely see through that. I don't know if you can make out a little tiny hole down in there, but that's pretty good. And I just squish it down in there again, fold these little pipe cleaners in half, and then do the same thing. And still taking out a little bit of pearly, almost a grayish color on there. That could be from other paint jobs. And I can still make out a little bit there, but what I usually do is I will take my little eyedropper and I will just run some thinner through it. And then a lot of times you'll have a little clog, and I will just take and push this through, and you can, if I get a little backdrop on it, maybe you can tell when the needle actually comes through. And a lot of times you'll see that you get a little bit of paint that pulls out. If your airbrush isn't spraying right, I'd say 99% of the time it's this. You need to take this apart. Actually, you can see a little bit of paint right in there that I'm freeing up. And you don't want to bend your needle, but I've found this is the best thing to actually push through there and clean out the, yeah, there's another little paint bit right there that I pulled out of it. This is the best thing to actually get in there, aside from those little pipe cleaning Q-tips. Those are great, but it won't get all the way through that hole and push out. And a lot of times I can wipe off the paint right there, that I can tell, finally I got this thing cleared out. And even in between paints, if you're switching paints, sometimes you can get away with not cleaning it. Just jump to a new paint color. Yeah, I can see bright blue through there. So that is clean. So now we will assemble. Sometimes you need a little bit of lube here, or else your gun won't actually go through and make the range of motion and pop back up to where your air isn't cutting off. It wants to stay air. So I try to use the grease from my fingers, and I mean, my fingers are pretty clean, but use the oils of your skin just to put a little bit of coating that it's not super sanitary because the metal on metal likes to bind. So we're ready to go. First thing I do is look for the channel. There's a channel that the airbrush needle goes through. So look for that channel and then look for the recessed area. And then you've got to put this down through that hole. And that's basically your air. And you can see that's popping up really good. So then we push this guy in. The actuator goes up, so put that in there. Push it in, and then screw it down. Get that pretty far in there, like it's mostly good. And then I will assemble the front end. So I put that on. Put this that kind of smashes that down, seals that. So push that down. Next piece, well, you can push the needle in now. And I like to do that right now to where I can see that, as you'll see, you can just see that needle push out the end. So I push it, not cramming it in there, and then I tighten this back nut that keeps that right in that spot. So as you push in, you push the air, and then as you pull back, that's how much paint you're letting out of there. So I know that's good. Watch yourself, that's super sharp as you're putting these in. Put that in there, and then just the very tip. A lot of times you can spray this if you're careful, and you can get some stippling effect with it. Just leaving this front cap off as you spray, but it's dangerous, and I think the needle is like 30 bucks or something, so be careful with that. And that's all squared away. Put your cap back in the back. Straight, nice, neat. And then the last step, I usually will take a clean section of paper towel and just go over the whole thing again. So that filtered out all my garbage. And then I just give it another once over just to square it away. So when I open it up next time, it actually looks pretty decent. And then I will take, and without splashing it all over the whole work desk again, I just put a little bit of thinner down in there. So you can see I got thinner in the bottom of it. Take that, hold the end, and just blow out. And sometimes you'll see a little particle. This time I got out pretty clean. And then use that, wipe off any additional. And then I usually try to spray out. Just make sure all that's cleaned out. So that, everyone, that's how you clean your gun. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.